We do.
Hey.
Welcome, everyone. It's nice to be here again. I haven't been able to be here for a really long time, and I've missed this.
Yes,
So
I missed you too.
very glad to be here. How many of you have not been to the Alembic before? Oh, cool. Welcome. So we're kind of unusual for a practice space. We integrate different teachings from all different traditions and different ways of knowing into one container. So we have meditation and movement. We have psychedelic preparation and integration, no navigation, with preparation and integration. And we're also setting up a neuroscience lab to be able to study these practices and be able to facilitate people learning them and to track what's changing within people's minds and in their behavior as they engage with these different things. So we're doing something a little unconventional here, and we're glad that you're all here. Should I tell them what an Alembic? I'm going to tell you what an Alembic is. So we chose the name for a reason. And one of the reasons is that all three of the founders, we had a meeting about what to name it, and then we all went off separately, and we all came back separately and had decided it should be called the Alembic.
I never heard that before.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And then we subsequently learned that we're like the only three people on earth who know what an alembic is. So we've spent the past 14 months just explaining to people what an alembic is. And an alembic is a container that was invented by a female alchemist. And the alchemist believed that when you put something into an alembic, you apply heat to it and you're trying to transform things, right? But the conditions in the external world, like scientifically, had to be correct. And the conditions that you cultivated in your mind in that moment also had to be correct for the alchemy to work. So an alembic is a container where mind and matter meet and transform. And it's still used today in like distillation and chemistry. So it really clicks in with what we're doing here. We hope that this physical container and then this sort of, if you'll allow me to use this phrase, this consciousness container that we create together allows you to transform according to what your own goals are. So we're glad you're here. Coming up this week, we have two things that you may or may not be interested in. We're going to tell you about them either way. So on Friday night, we have Guillaume Caron visiting from New York. He comes to us through the New York Psychedelic Sangha, and he's also a teacher at New York Insight. And every time he's in town, he comes to the Thursday night sit. So you may have met him. He's one of the French guys who comes to the Thursday night sit. He is going to lead a discussion that will be mostly like facilitated dyads and triads about the relationship between psychedelics and meditation. So if you want to like meet the other people who are into that, you want to be here on Friday. And then on Saturday, we have a woman named Sravana, and Mo has sat with Sravana a bunch. So if you have questions about what it's like to actually sit with her at tea after this, you can talk to Mo. She's going to open and close the day by blowing through a conch shell, which she is going to bring herself. She was like, you don't have to provide me with the conch. I'll bring my own conch. And she's going to go into her own definition of Tantra. And we're going to learn more about Tantra. And then we're going to look at dualities that may not be dualities after all. So two that she mentioned when I talked to her, the duality between sacred and profane, and the duality between masculine and feminine. So the day is going to be all about investigating duality, inquiring into it in a tantric mode. And there's also lunch from noon to 2. So it's a similar thing where like, if you're into this stuff and you want to meet the other people who are into this stuff, this is the thing to come to. So exciting things coming up this week. Glad you're here. Looking forward to practicing with you. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I haven't announced this for a while, but I thought I would tonight. I'm going to be doing a couple of retreats at Easton at the end of July and early August. So if you've never been, or if you have been and want to return, the first retreat will be with Eve Ekman. We'll be doing Feeding Your Demons along with Cultivating Emotional Balance, which is Buddhist-based emotional balance technique integrating shamatha vipassana from the Dzogchen tradition, and then other kind of emotion science that she's spearheaded over the years. And then I'll be doing the Feeding Your Demons portion. There is still space for that one. The one that's filling up is the weekend one, just with me, called One Ground, Two Paths, Two Fruits. I've talked about that before in this class, so I'm making the whole retreat to explore that theme. I'm very much looking forward to that. I've taught at Esalen for 18 years, at least. Maybe 20, but I can't validate that for sure. So it's one of my homes away from home. I love it. It's got the hot springs right on the cliff, a very beautiful sacred place overlooking the Pacific Ocean in Big Sur. So if you've never been, it's one of those gems that at least once in your life you should go see. You can do sleeping bag space. There are scholarships you can apply for. I think somebody in the room actually, he was sharing with me that he got a scholarship, and it made it, affordable and doable, because Esalen can be pricey. But sleeping bag space is kind of fun. I have a lot of friends and students who have done it, and you share a big living room space with a few other folks, and you bring your sleeping pad and your sleeping bag, and you're never in that room because you're in the hot springs all the time, or in class, or in the wonderful dining hall, or at the pool, or on the lawn. You don't really want to be inside. So, yeah. I recommend checking it out. You can find more information on my website, chandraeaston.com, or on the Esalen website. Those two retreats are happening between July 31st and August 7th. Okay. I've got a fun night, I think, a nourishing, relaxing, fun night. What is the name of this class? Releasing into presence. So tonight, you're going to get a chance to really release into presence by meditating in the supine position. However, you don't have to. You can sit upright also. So you're not required to, but I wanted to really create the space as an inviting space for you to feel okay with lying down. There's some stigma around it, and I hope to destigmatize that if it's in your mind in that way. So what we'll do now is we'll do our invocation prayer, which is at the top of your handout. For those of you who are new, you might want to peek at that. It's a beautiful prayer to the Great Mother in the form of Narayaṇi. And she is known as the one who saves beings from samsara, for the most part. And it's from a text called the Devi Mahatmya, celebrating the Divine Feminine in many different stanzas and her different forms. And so this is a shloka from verse 12 of that great text from the Hindu tradition, Hindu Tantra. And my background is more in Buddhist Tantra, and Narayaṇi is also associated with the Buddhist Mahayana and Vajrayana goddess Tara. So this is part of the reason I'd like to share this prayer. So we'll do 11 repetitions tonight. I'll say the line and you'll repeat, and so on. We'll do that once through, and then we'll do it together 11 times. Feel free to listen if you're new and join in whenever you feel ready. The translation is there as well, and you can read that while we're chanting it in Sanskrit. So take a moment and close your eyes and breathe deeply into your abdomen, this diaphragmatic breath, filling the torso with the in-breath, and then letting it empty with the out-breath, relaxing tension as you breathe out. This moment is like a bardo from your daily life to transitioning into the evening and a more internalized contemplative space. So let yourself turn inward. And in Buddhism, the name of a Buddhist in the Tibetan language is Nangwa, which means one who turns within. But you need not be Buddhist to do that. This gentle pivoting to draw your attention to the inner life, taking some breaths and feeling the inner atmosphere and what you've walked in with and what you'd like to let go of as you breathe out, just letting go of tension from the face, the jaw, the chest, the belly, the back, and hips. And notice if there's any tension in the belly and soften it. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Nārāyaṇi namostute, Nārāyaṇi namostute. Together. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Nārāyaṇi namostute. and open your eyes when you're ready. Tonight we'll sit first and talk second. I will guide you through about 40, 45-minute practice. But before we do it, I want to show you what I have in mind. We'll start upright and we'll do the bodhicitta prayer and the guru yoga prayer that we've been doing. And we'll do some breath, mindfulness of breathing like we have been doing, counting from 1 to 21, a couple rounds. And then I'm going to invite you to release into presence in a different way than you're normally used to. So I think what we should do is maybe that's east, that's west. What we'll do is we'll face west in the beginning, or we can face like normal if you feel weird, but we can do that. But then when it comes time to lie down, you're going to need to pivot. And I'm not going to do the full dramatic flop because I had back surgery 3 months ago. And if you have a sensitive back, do it carefully. I'll probably go, oh, I'm going to go on my side and then fall on my back. So from an upright position, when I invite you to release or flop into presence, Nalnu Bapa, it's the Tibetan is Nalnu Bapa. It means basically flop into your natural state. Relax, drop into your natural state, right? So when I say Nalnu Bapa, release into your natural state, you can flop back, or like what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go, as most comfortable as possible, just a gentle flop. And then once you feel ready, you can let everything go. The classic teaching is to lie back and really flop all at once. So if your back and your body lets you do that, great, go for it. Otherwise, be careful. And so we're going to do, the latter half of our practice lying down. If you don't want to lie down the whole time, you can, in your own time, get back up and meditate upright. When I learned this, we would do that like 3 times. We'd sit up, practice for a while. When a bell would go off, we'd set a timer. The teacher would set the timer. When the bell went off, then we'd flop and let go. It's like you're the corpse. It's like Shavasana. You just let everything go. Release into presence. So either you flop once and stay down, or you flop once, and then when you're ready, you can get back up and just finish the class sitting upright, right? Kind of make a decision what you're going to do. Yeah? So there's not a lot of flopping in perpetuity. This might be distracting. Okay, so you flopped. If you're somebody who knows that they fall asleep when they lie down or meditate lying down, the trick that I've learned over the years is to make one of your arms a right angle and then relax the hand. So you're not stiff, you're aligned with gravity so you don't have to exert effort. And that gives you just a little bit of vigilance to keep you awake. And if you fall asleep, you'll wake yourself up because it'll go, wake you up, right? The other thing I wanted to say, because Mo brought this up, if somebody starts snoring, if that trick doesn't work, your neighbor has a right to yank on your toe. Hey, you, wake up. Yeah, so don't be shy. Or on your, on your ear, if they're your head. That's what my teacher taught. So I like it. It's kind of fun. And I don't know, it's not that common that people actually have to do that. But so like, say if Mo starts snoring, either you, or you. Or if you start snoring, he said, make sure, don't let me snore, then I'm not going to get up and do it. So one of you guys can, if it's heads here or toes there, whatever, just a gentle, you can do that. And then I'll be guiding you through this. So that's the basics. What else? Yeah, and then we'll sit up at the end and we'll end chanting. Okay? So any questions about that? Oh, right. So I had asked them to put like a blanket or a bolster and a kind of a pillowy thing. You can kind of set yourself up the way you want ahead of time. But I like to have a bolster or a blanket folded up or rolled up under my knees. So if I'm going to meditate lying down for a long period of time, I might like do the flop, but then like yank this over and set myself up really nice like that, because it's good. So if you have sensitive low back, having your knees supported can be really helpful. It helps to round the low spine and ground it. Yeah. So it's like Shavasana, the corpse pose. So you let it all go, let all contrivance, all tension, all fabrication of like, I am meditating. Like this is the releasing into presence is this wonderful invitation to just even the posturing or even the slight effort that we make to meditate is invited to fall away. The image in Dzogchen is like a bale of straw bound in the middle by a string. You cut it and the straw goes, and that's the way you want to feel when you flop. Okay? Sound good? Alrighty. Any other questions? Yeah? So you don't need this. You can move it off to the side. You can use this as a pillow and have nothing under your knees or have this under your knees. You can use this for warmth. If you're cold, feel free to like flop, feel what it's like to flop, but then if you have to adjust, then adjust and then flop internally again. Return to that space. Yeah. I have warned you guys that I will guide a practice lying down myself. So tonight is the night. I want to, like I said, destigmatize lying down in meditation. It's one of the 4 postures taught by the Buddha: seated, lying, standing, and walking. So find a comfortable upright position, and we'll start in this upright way. And allow the eyes to close. If you haven't already, set up your space so that when you lie back, you're pretty much dialed in. You've got what you need close by. And take deep breaths, settling in again. And then take a moment to arouse your personal motivation, your bodhicitta, the spirit of awakening. What gives you meaning in your life? Crystallize that. Compose your own prayer internally. What brings you here? What's your deep longing? And I'll invite you to add, if you haven't already, this classic Mahayana aspiration, the great vehicle of Dharma, to aspire to awaken not only for yourself, but for beings everywhere, your family, your friends, neutral folks, but also even so that you may be of benefit to your so-called enemies, the people you don't like. How does that feel to say, may I awaken in this life even, so that I can be of benefit? The ultimate benefit is to be a refuge for those downtrodden in samsara. It might feel lofty, and that's okay. Just a feeling of opening the heart to that potential. It's because when the small self cracks open and merges with the nectar of the vast self, anything is possible. We're not separate then. And therefore my liberation is your liberation, and so on. A bodhicitta is that recognition, absolutely, with emptiness, interdependence, and relatively through compassion and love, and so on. And then now, after you've uttered your own personal prayer, imagine above you and slightly in front of you, gazing upon you with love and kindness, is a spiritual friend, a mentor, or a deity, a Buddha, a teacher, whether embodied or not, a being of light, or imagining in front of you, even your teacher in this life, flesh and bone. But imagine that this mentor, this so-called guru or lama or spiritual teacher, arises in the space in front of you, slightly above the crown, gazing upon you with love and compassion, a body of light. And imagine that they are sitting upon a lotus and moon seat above your head. Their face is smiling and regarding you and all beings with a non-referential compassion, limitless, no favorites. Maybe it's Mother Mary or Jesus or Allah or Tara, Chenrezig, Buddha, Shakyamuni, your own Sufi teacher or Hindu teacher, it doesn't matter. This being is an embodiment of all the root teachers in your life, past and present, called the soul refuge. So imagine that they embody all of that wisdom. And with a deep sense of longing and devotion, I'll offer you a prayer that you can listen to, internalize, and offer to this being of light. I'll repeat it 3 times. I pray for your blessing, my teacher, great and completely worthy spiritual friend. I pray that you will cause love, compassion, and bodhicitta to arise in my mind. Bodhicitta is that compassionate aspiration to awaken for the benefit of all beings. I pray for your blessing, my teacher, great and completely worthy spiritual friend. I pray that you will cause love, compassion, and bodhicitta to arise in my mind. I pray for your blessing, my teacher, great and completely worthy spiritual friend. I pray that you will cause love, compassion, and bodhicitta to arise in my mind. And then imagine that this being of light descends down through the crown of your head, the Brahma aperture, slowly descending down in the central channel into your heart chakra. And they rest in the center of your heart in a pavilion of light, like an open shell. And then now turn your attention to your breath as we enter into the main part of the practice. Receiving the blessing of the lineage of your mentor, mentors, and then embodying that within you, merging your mind with the mind of the teacher, the so-called guru. Recognizing that your mind and the guru's mind has never been separate. That the nature of your mind is the guru. And feel the breath in the body. As the breath flows in, feel the temperature, the sensations of the breath flowing in through the nose or mouth or both, filling the body. The natural out-breath, feel, sense the sensations and temperature as the breath flows out. And letting each breath anchor you in the moment in your body. Releasing distraction as soon as you notice it, as much as possible, and come back to this mindful awareness of the breath in the body, yet with a quality of relaxation and openness, a feeling of inner spaciousness. And as an additional anchor, if you wish, you can integrate the counting. At the top of each breath, counting silently to yourself, 1 and so on. From 1 to 21, we'll do 2 rounds. If you prefer to just attend to the sensations of the breath in the body, that's fine, I'll be counting. A quiet count at the top, then let it go as you breathe out, and so on. We'll practice in silence. And let it all go. See if you can let go even more. The palms can be on your belly, or they can be out by your side, palms up if you wish. And I invite you now to have your eyes open and gaze at a comfortable angle towards the ceiling. And then soften the gaze just as you would with eyes open, upright. If you tend to fall asleep, do the arm if you wish. And notice the mind, notice the activities of the mind. Look and then release the striving, the fixing, even the effort. And rest in a natural state, meaning a mind uncontrived and without grasping. So a thought might arise within the space of the mind like a cloud in the sky, but don't grasp it. Just observe it and let go with the out-breath and come back to the breath. Come back to this quality of spacious, open awareness, unbound by the body, free of center and periphery. Rest deeply. Let the jaw go, the muscles of the face, forehead. And let the lips be slightly open even. Let the breath travel in and out through the mouth, or both the nose and the mouth. And soften the muscles behind the eyes. And feel free to blink if you need to. And then come back to a natural, relaxed gaze without fixating on any one visual characteristic. Soften, broaden the visual field. And relax the base of the skull. Any gripping in the scalp. Be like a corpse. The neck, the shoulders, the spinal column. Surrender to the earth. And then the muscles, the tissues melt down away from the bones. And let the breath be a natural breath. If it's deep, let it be deep. If it's shallow, let it be shallow. Let go of any control of the breath. This deep relaxation doesn't mean you dole out or space out. Let the mind be vivid, present, wakeful. But let the body be utterly relaxed. And feel free to continue to attend to the sensations of the breath in the body, the belly, the chest, the back, the throat, and so on. But the breath begins to slowly fade into the background of your attention, still your anchor, but not at the forefront, because now the space of the mind becomes the foremost domain of your attention. So we settle the mind in its natural state, sam nanubapa, releasing the effort, the technique even, and just rest. And that quality of awareness that pervades thought, that pervades feeling, pervades sensation. Bask in that ocean of awareness that's all around you, that is you, permeating every bit of your existence. Just let yourself reunify. The shell dissolves, and you realize that the space inside that shell and outside the shell were never different. Rest in that. Stabilize that. Release distraction with the out-breath and come back to it again and again. And if at any time you need to adjust or sit up again, feel free to do that. Listen to your own body. Attend to your body. But do so mindfully without losing the thread of awareness. Naturally liberate thought as it arises. How? Turn your awareness to it. Look at it. Is it solid? Is it a thing? Can you really know it to be true 100% without getting wrapped up in the story? Just turn towards it, and like a phantom, it dissolves. Castle in the sky, an echo, mirage. Thoughts appear, yet they're empty of solidity. Naturally liberate thoughts as they arise by letting go and returning back into this awareness of that spacious, luminous, and wakeful quality of your own consciousness. And when you abide in that vaster view, fatigue isn't a problem. Distraction isn't a problem. Excitation isn't a problem. Dullness isn't a problem, because all of it is pervaded by awareness. And the wisdom is to see their empty nature as well, and to, if anything, let your default be identifying with that vast, open, all-pervasive awareness that's in this moment, this moment. Like the air you breathe, it's here right now. Let the face relax, and an expression of awe wash over your face as you witness your awareness. How incredible. This has been with you all along. How amazing. And then release more deeply the brainstem, the occiput, the neck, the throat, the jaw, the frontal lobe. Wherever you feel tension, soften and release. And return to the spaciousness, imbued with luminosity and that quality of knowing, awareness. And naturally liberate thoughts as soon as you notice. Turn, look, and then release. And then now gently begin to let the eyes close. We'll shift into the final stretch of our meditation by revisiting the self-tonglen, this compassion meditation for oneself, and then we'll open to the world before we dedicate the merit. So if you like, I would like to invite you to try this. Take one hand and place it on your heart in the center of the chest, the heart chakra. And then take the other hand on top of that hand. So you have one hand sandwiched by the other hand and the body below you. And just breathe into the hands on the heart and feel that quality, the capacity that you have within you to hold yourself like you would hold a child or a loved one. And so now we're turning towards more of a contemplative style of practice. What we've done up until now, for the most part, was a non-conceptual form of meditation. And now consciously let's shift into a more active, discursive form of meditation as a way to help cultivate qualities of wisdom, understanding, and compassion and self-compassion within ourselves. So feel the breath. Feel free to deepen the breath now. Feel it in the belly and then the chest, the heart, the lungs, and then release with the out-breath. And feel that with each breath, you enliven, kindling a spark of luminosity in the heart chakra. And with each breath, it grows bigger and warmer, brighter, until you have an orb of light at your heart center, like the sun, like a mini sun in your heart. And the warmth of that sun pervades your whole body. That is the heart of bodhicitta. That undying nature of your own mind, imbued with compassion. So each breath begins to aerate that space, enliven it, inhabit it, grow that capacity for warmth and tenderness, vulnerability, openness. And tonight we'll practice a different variation of the self-tonglen, different from last week, where we simply breathe out, let go of that which we don't want anymore with the out-breath, and we breathe into the heart space that which we would like, the qualities we want to cultivate in our life. So feel the breath like 360 degrees around you, breathing directly into the heart space, enlivening that warmth of bodhicitta at your heart, and directing that towards yourself, patience, understanding, acceptance with the in-breath, and then letting go with the out-breath, like a cool wind of just breeze, letting go of those qualities you're ready to let go of and transform. So stay with the breath, breathing in the qualities that you would like in your life, breathing into your heart, and then breathing out the qualities you'd like to let go of. You may feel the letting go like a melting or an offering to the earth or to the sky, letting go of those things you no longer need or want. In the inhalation, like a breathing into the heart, but then a permeating your whole body experience. What would greater health feel like? What would more abundance feel like? What would awakening feel like? What would true self-love feel like? Let yourself feel that from the toes to the crown, every cell of your body. You can even breathe into parts of the body that might need some love. Maybe you have an illness. You can breathe in directly to that space, healing, breathing out, releasing of any dis-ease, fear, or tension. Let it be intuitive. And then with the last few moments here, feel that orb of light in your heart grow to such strength that it fills your whole body with golden light. Feel that golden light filling every cell of your body. Like your body's a balloon filled with sunlight. And feel that sunlight burst through the space between the atoms and the pores of your body. And you offer that light in all directions, like a blast of light, filling the whole world, the universe, like the sun. Let that be your offering of healing, illumination, liberation. And yet you're still here in this body. It need not be a paradox. It's both. You're you and you're everything. Coming back to the body, feeling the heartbeat in your chest, the breath in the lungs. And begin to slowly kind of bring your body back to this space and time by wiggling the toes and the fingers a bit, kind of waking yourself up gently. You can turn your head from side to side, whatever feels good for your body. If you want to mindfully stretch the arms overhead, like waking up the corpse in a way of gentle movement. And then you can bend one knee and then the other. And like we do in the Shavasana, we come out slowly, hugging the knees to the chest if you like. And then when you're ready, start to roll over onto your side and take a breath or two there. And then slowly make your way up back to your meditation seat, upright. And we'll end with a few minutes of chanting to Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of compassion. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om, jewel in the heart of the lotus. Hum, enlightened mind. Feel free to listen and join when you have a sense of the melody. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Do you like Nanu Bapa? Did you like that? Yeah. How many did that lying down, a meditation lying down for the first time tonight? A few people, yeah. Were you able to sort of compartmentalize sleep from meditation a little bit? Make it separate? Yeah, good. Any comments, observations, questions? Yeah.
This isn't about lying down, but
Yeah, that's all right.
when I'm sitting up and meditating, so I was taught to kind of half close my eyes
Mm-hmm.
and look down. But when I sort of do that, I get sort of double vision a little bit. Is that typical? Is that,
Mm-hmm.
when I look down the bridge of my nose when I'm meditating, my eyes are half closed, it just sort of, my vision gets a little, I don't know where it is, but is that okay?
Mm. I want to ask you a little bit more so I understand. So when you're gazing down, are you trying to look at the nose? No. Okay, you're just letting the eyes be parallel, so at a comfortable angle. So you're not straining the eyes necessarily. Good. Okay, I just want to make sure. In the beginning, it can feel a little funny, like the eyes are dancing around a bit. Over time, the muscles around and behind the eyes should start to relax and soften. And then it can be pleasant. The double vision, is it kind of like spacing out? How when we space out, it gets blurry? Is that what you're saying? Or different?
It's just the angle maybe when I'm looking down, my eyes are half closed, and maybe it doesn't always happen, but maybe me looking down too much.
That's what I'm sensing when I saw you do it. It's a little, try raising the gaze just a bit, a few points up there. Yeah, and so there are all sorts of different gazes. There's not one right way. I mean, there's the bodhisattva gaze, which is straight ahead. There's the haruka gaze, which is looking up. In Dzogchen, sometimes they look to the left or the right to incite different experiences. And then the downward is the arhat gaze. So they all serve different functions, and one's not better than the other. It's just this one is less distracting, so it's a good place to start. But let it raise just a little bit more. Yeah. And then you'll be able to relax it. So then the feeling is not, this is just a jumping off point for me to make a point to the room, which is, it's not like a blurry spacing out gaze. Do you know what I mean? We're not like doing that out the window in the classroom type spacing out gaze. It's clear, but it's relaxed. It's limpid. I think the 8th graders just stay gazing out of the window. Bring it back, bring it back. My mom said in school her nickname was Straight Hair Stare because she'd always get caught spacing out the window, and she had long straight hair. In any case, it's not that. It's a they say let the eyes be like limpid pools of water. So not easy in the beginning, especially when you've been taught or assumed that the meditation happens like this. But the point of meditating with the eyes open is to dissolve the illusion that we're in here only, and that we're separate from the world, and that meditation can only happen when we've got the eyes closed. But the point is to bring everything on the path, which leads me to the next teaching, Lamkir. Right? Can we have a little more lights? Not like floodlights, but can we do a subtle transition of, I'm sure you know exactly what those are. Yes, those are the good ones. Good. Okay. So we've got about 10 more minutes, and I want to drop this wisdom on you before we go, because there's going to be a 2-week break. right? I made the announcement last week, 2-week break. So July 11th will come back. So I want you to start to chew on this next theme that we're diving into, which is the third chapter, so to speak, or called the third point in this larger 7 points of mind training text that we're studying. Okay. So now we're entering into the third point, or third chapter, I like to say, because in our mindset it makes more sense. There are a bunch of slogans in this chapter. This point 3 is called transformation of bad circumstances into the path of enlightenment. I don't know if that's the way it's written on yours. Yeah? Okay. So that is the overarching theme of this section, but also of Lojong, of mind training. It's all about taking suffering onto the path, taking joy onto the path, then even on a deeper level, taking the mind as the path. And so that's kind of a more subtle teaching that we'll get to as well. And so this is a very famous practice called Lam Kyer. Lam means path, and Kyer means to take. Sometimes called Lam du Kyerwa, which means take it upon the path or onto the path. And I like to shorthand it with take it on the road. It's just like take your practice on the road. How do you take your practice on the road? How do you take it onto the path? When you're pissed off in traffic, when you're sad about something, when you're not getting what you want, or, especially when life is hard, often we are ripe to put this practice into the path, take it onto the path. So the first slogan is in this chapter, encapsulates it beautifully. It's one of the most important slogans out of all the 59. Number 11, when the world is filled with evil, transform all mishaps into the path of bodhi, meaning the path of enlightenment. So evil, I don't love that translation, but you get the gist, right? When the world is filled with pollution and greed and violence and abuse, heartbreak, take it all these mishaps into the path of awakening bodhi. So bodhi is a term that can also be translated as wakefulness, like Buddha is in the same root of bodhi, is the illuminated one or the awakened one. And this wakefulness, this bodhi, is a result of our practice. Remember last week we were talking about bringing all the slogans into our life at all times? That was one of the last week's slogans. So how do we do that? We do it by practicing them on the cushion or lying down on the 2 cushions, of integrating and contemplating these slogans in our meditation practice so that we can then wake up also in the world. But also more specifically, bodhi, or wakefulness, illumination, or even liberation, you could say, is a result of the core practices that we're doing in this class, which are the core practices in Lojong: shamatha, vipassana, and tonglen. Like if you were wondering, what are the main techniques in Lojong, at least this system of Lojong, you could say shamatha, vipassana, and tonglen, sending and receiving. You've got shamatha, to concentrate the mind, to clarify, or as Alan Wallace says, sharpen the instrument, the telescope, clean the glass on the telescope. That's shamatha. Clarify the mind, concentrate the mind. Help bring it into being, bring it into a suitable instrument for your awakening. Yeah. And so then with that clear telescope, then you probe into the nature of space, into the nature of mind, into the nature of reality. That's vipassana, clear or special insight Literally, that's what vipassana means. Pasana in Pali, pashyana in Sanskrit means to see. V means special. So it's not just any old seeing, it's special seeing. And what does that mean? We see emptiness. We understand it. Yeah, vipassana or vipassana. In more tantric teachings like Tibetan Buddhism, you'll hear vipassana more than vipassana. Same meaning, just one is Pali, one is Sanskrit. Okay? And then there's the tonglen, the sending and receiving, cultivating the heart, compassion for ourselves, like we did tonight, then compassion for our loved ones, recognizing that all beings, like us, want to be free of suffering and want to be happy. And so in that sense, we are interrelated and we share that common humanity. So those three practices, shamatha, vipassana, tonglen, bring us into this wakeful quality of mind. We take our experiences onto the path of bodhi. And in this way, all hardships can be integrated into our path. Everything doesn't have to be perfect in order for us to be happy. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's not going to happen. I mean, I think that's a part of growing up, right? And becoming mature. And mature practitioners are ones who and I am humble in this. I've had a lot of hardship lately. I am trying my best to bring it onto the path. And I'm sure all of you are in your own way as well. Life is challenging. So how do we take it onto the path? And in that way, we see hardships as opportunities for practice instead of obstacles to practice. There's a quote that I heard a long time ago in an interview on the radio with Judd Apatow, the director. He does a lot of comedies, right? He was talking to Amy Schumer. She was interviewing him, okay? And he said something that was so quintessentially Lojong. He said, when you become rich, you realize that the best things in life are free. Right? When you become rich, you realize the best things in life are free. So don't think that when you get rich, you're suddenly going to be perfect and happy and it's all going to be great. Because then you realize, actually, it's not so great up here. That was his realization. So not feeling inadequate in our life because we're not perfect, we're not rich, we're not successful, we're not the best, but rather, even if life is successful, you might feel inadequate, right? So it's not about being having all the circumstances just right in order for your spiritual maturation. In fact, all of those obstacles, all of those people who challenge you, they say are to be regarded as more precious than your teachers, than your guru, and then the Buddha, because they teach you patience. So take that on the path. That person you just want to strangle is actually more precious than the Buddha. Can you feel? Can you let that drop in? Do you have the capacity to even attempt to live that? It takes cojones. And it takes a deep desire to be free of suffering, right? And I think when you live some number of years, you get so sick of it, the suffering. You're like, I'll do anything. Yeah, okay, I'll love my enemy. Bring it on, So that is lamkir, taking all joys and sorrows onto the path of awakening. And then, so when you have a depth of practice, shamatha, vipassana, tonglen, you actually become rich with integrity. You become rich with courage, and you become rich with joy. That's what the masters say. So we need to give it a try, right? We were just at a beautiful teaching this weekend with Slogan Rinpoche, who was teaching on Lojong, mind training from the Dzogchen system. Similar teachings, but slightly, different framework, beautiful teachings. But the pith of this is to take the mind as the path, thoughts, hope, and fear as your teacher, as the opportunity, doorways to liberation. So with these practices, your inner strength grows no matter what happens. You have a profound resourcefulness and a richness that nobody can take away. It's not about money. And so through this, we realize a sense of wealth within us through generosity. Because what are we doing with Donglen? We're offering that which we would normally keep for ourselves. That's the ultimate step. We didn't quite chew on that again tonight because we were doing this other version of self-Donglen. But that's the gist of the Donglen, is to offer that which you would normally hold for yourself. So through that generosity, you begin to feel that resourcefulness, that inherent wealth of well-being that you have within you, that wisdom and that true heart of compassion that's always here. It's a true wealth that is free of wanting, free of desire, in the negative sense, free of greed, attachment, all those things that can cause us so much harm. So that is my commentary to the slogan of when the world is full of evil, transform all mishaps onto the path of awakening. So see how that lands with you in your life. Really chew on it. And then when I see you again in a couple weeks, I want to hear about it. Like, how's it going for you? Even if you totally forgot to do it, just say, I totally forgot to do it. Just come back and let's engage with this even more. Because now all these slogans, for the most part, are helping us come at this from different angles. Sometimes humorous, sometimes profound, sometimes a little culturally obscure. Oh, in Tibet, they would say that, not here. But it's interesting and fun to think about. Okay, so I want to let you go. It's time. But thank you, everybody. I'll miss seeing you. I'll miss being with you. And I will see you July 11th, inshallah. Let's take a moment as a group to dedicate any medicine that's arisen in this space fabric that we've created here tonight in our hearts, and offer it up like a drop of water releasing into a vast ocean of positive vibes, positive energy. Becomes limitless as we offer it for the benefit of all beings in this world full of so much beauty and tragedy. Thank you, everybody. Om Mani Padme Hum. When in doubt, chant mantra. And the Om Mani Padme Hum is basically like Lojong in 6 syllables. So enjoy your tea and your communing and asking Mo what on earth is happening this weekend. You're the Tantra expert suddenly, I know. With,
That's why you
I'll sit up here if you want to come say hi, introduce yourself if you're new. I like to meet the new folks. And then also if you have a question, I can